I like Spider-Man! I mean, when it comes to the whole superhero scene, I'm not that much into it anymore, mainly because nowadays they're fucking everywhere, but Spider-Man just always stuck with me. Probably helps that he was the first ever superhero I ever got introduced to, and I would also rewatch the shit out of Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 1 when I was super young. Hell, I still do that to this day. There was just something about the character of Peter Parker that I just found so fascinating and even relatable. I always favored those portrayals of Peter Parker as the socially rejected underdog, who rises to stardom in secrecy as Spider-Man, a hero who can climb walls, shoot webs, fight crime, and also has to stop a large array of reoccurring villains, all while wearing a red and blue unitard. I'm sure most of you viewers have always imagined just how awesome it must feel if you were able to climb walls, and especially web sling across several skyscrapers. It just looks so gratifying to see in the movies and the cartoons. It would have been so cool if we could experience that in some way. And thankfully there kind of was a way. That's where the Spider-Man video games come in. Obviously, Spider-Man had tons of video games based off him, but if we really did want to play a game that truly made us feel like we were Spider-Man, the late 80s and mid 90s side-scrollers were not going to give us that. I haven't really played any of these games, but it doesn't look like any of them hold up very well, especially after watching a couple reviews of them, most notably the one from the Angry Video Game Nerd. Oh my god, that episode's 10 years old. The technology of the 90s was just too young to make a good Spider-Man game. One that did give us the ability to climb walls, web sling so fluently, and beat up bad guys with ease. It seemed like such an unreachable dream. That was, until the year 2000. It was a new millennium, and right around that time, Activision acquired the rights to publish Spider-Man games, and during the late 90s they decided to give the now defunct gaming company Neversoft the permission to make a Spider-Man game for the PS1. Then in mid-2000 we ended up getting the plainly titled Spider-Man. Upon release, it blew away everyone's expectations, and also set the groundwork for the gameplay Spider-Man games would build upon, for about 4 years. Sorry if this review is really shitty and unorganized. Now, there are a ton of Spider-Man games to choose from. Some of them are good, but a lot of them are bad. However, for this little marathon, I'm going to be taking a look at the set of Spider-Man games that were developed by a Treyarch Studios, starting with the one that technically started it all, Spider-Man, the Dreamcast version.
Wait a second, you just said you were looking at the Spider-Man games developed by Treyarch. Didn't Neversoft make that game?
Yes, you dipshit. However, Neversoft were the ones responsible for developing the original PlayStation version, but the Dreamcast port was actually handled by Treyarch, and because of that, this technically ended up being the first ever Spider-Man game that Treyarch was involved with. Dumbass. Oh, and I guess while I'm at it, Edge of Reality handled the Nintendo 64 port, and LTI Grey Matter handled the Windows PC port. But those two companies aren't really important to this marathon. Now that I think about it, both those companies are probably dead. Also, yes, I'm completely aware that Kadikarus did a review of the PlayStation 1 version, but the thing is, I planned on doing this marathon almost a year ago, and whenever I saw that Kadikarus did that review, I just said, fuck! So you know what? I didn't watch his review, and I have not watched it yet, and I don't plan on watching his review until after I get mine out, because I don't want to risk, say, making mine too similar to his on accident. So, let's review this game because I really want to watch Caddy's video. Spider-Man 2000. I have quite a lot of memories with this one, specifically with the PS1 version. My cousin Andrew and I would play it all the time, or we'd at least let his dad play the game for us because we were way too young to be playing this game. Still, I just loved the way the game looked. I loved the FMV cutscenes, the music was cool. It just sucked me into the world of Spider-Man so well. But can this game hold up after 17 years and on a much more powerful gaming console? Let's find out! The story for this game is pretty decent. The plot starts with Dr. Otto Octavius, who is more well known for being Doc Ock, showing a new invention to a large auditorium full of people, and of the attendees includes Daily Bugle rivals Peter Parker and Eddie Brock. But during the whole presentation, the show is ambushed by Spider-Man? Say what?
Last time I checked, I was Spider-Man.
Yeah, an imposter Spider-Man steals Doc Ock's machine as a way to frame the real Spider-Man as a criminal. Afterwards, the invention is being tested by two main villains for this game, who activate the machine, which causes it to fog up the entirety of New York City. Which is actually just an excuse to explain why we can't go on the ground for this game. So Spidey has to clear his name and the fog, and also put a stop to whoever's doing this to New York. And he's also gotta save Mary Jane. Wait, what? How does Mary Jane fit into all of the- Oh wait. Okay, so during the whole presentation intro, Eddie Brock was attending it and thought the poser Spider-Man that stole Octavius' device was the real Spider-Man. The imposter also ended up smashing Brock's camera before leaving. This ends up causing Eddie to have a meltdown afterwards, which ends up making Brock release his alter ego, Venom. And Venom was convinced that Spider-Man was in the wrong the whole time, so he kidnaps Mary Jane in an effort to stop Spidey himself. Which results in Venom finding out that Spider-Man is innocent, and eventually joins forces with him so that he could help stop the two main bad guys. Just, okay then. However, Spider-Man also finds out that not only is the entire city covered in this thick fog, but there are also symbiotes everywhere. So, upon stopping the fog and destroying the symbiote generators, Spider-Man comes across the true villains of this game, which includes Carnage and Doc Ock! Okay, everyone saw that plot twist coming. So Spider-Man defeats both Doc Ock and Carnage and decides he'll finally call it a day.
Whoa! What the... Is that Ock?
What in God's name is that thing? Spider-Man ends up defeating, or burning up whatever that was, and finally decides to call it a day. Thus, Doc Ock and the rest of Spider-Man's greatest adversaries are thrown in jail. Except, you know, Cletus Cassidy, aka Carnage. Spider-Man just sort of defeats him, makes his symbiote peel off, and leaves him to die in Doc Ock's exploding underwater base. So that was the plot of Spider-Man 2000, and it's very cluttered on paper. I'm pretty sure that all of this was an original story made just for this game, so it pretty much plays off like a nice love letter to the Spidey comics and even the cartoons of the time. A lot of comic book stories sort of have an issue of being too cluttered or just having way too much going on. For this game, we have a lot to work with. A large array of Spider-Man's villains are in this game. Apart from Doc Ock, Venom, and Carnage, we also have Scorpion, Rhino, and Mysterio. Now, there's obviously this huge master plan going on with the city being surrounded by fog and also being invaded by symbiotes. So you would assume that all 6 of these villains are working together on this, but they're not. Venom is after Spider-Man for differing reasons, and eventually forms a team with him. It turns out Mysterio is actually the only one working with Carnage and Doc Ock on their grand scheme, but even he's defeated pretty easily. Rhino and Scorpion are just thrown in here for a simple boss fight, and then we don't see them ever again. At least until the ending cutscene. By the way, this is probably one of the funniest endings to a video game I've ever seen.
Hold on, time out. All of you guys were working together, and you still couldn't take down Spider-Man?
It's not my fault. Doc Ock's plan was horrible. Everyone knows you can't control the symbiotes.
Hey, wait! So, I'm a rhino, you're a scorpion, and he's an octopus. What's a Mysterio?
Everything about the story seems cluttered on paper, but in execution, this game did a pretty good job. The PS1, PC, and Dreamcast versions all have most of their cutscenes presented in good old-fashioned revolutionary full-motion videos. I remember getting this game on the Nintendo 64 several years back, and I was so disappointed to see that that version didn't have the FMVs, obviously because of technical limitations. Not to mention, that version needed a freaking game pack just for saving progress, what the fuck? Something interesting about the Dreamcast version is that it's a port of the PS1 version, but it was also graphically updated as well. Mainly, all the character models and some of the scenery was made to look more detailed, and better in my opinion. I find the Dreamcast graphics way more appealing to look at. The original PS1 models don't really hold up too well. They were really blocky, and a lot of the characters' faces look so squished and off. The Dreamcast version is much more easier on the eyes, and even made a few characters look more closer to how they look in the comics, which I am so grateful for. For example, Spider-Man's suit has his iconic black web lines all over it, several villains have much more detail put into their models, and Venom looks so much better on the Dreamcast than the PS1. Seriously, his PS1 model looked like it was designed by a preschooler. Also, Carnage's graphical update is a major plus because his PS1 model was fucking terrible. Like, really, what the hell kind of design for Carnage was this? Moving on, the voice acting is really good for its time. I'd even say it still holds up today. A lot of the voice actors in this game have actually done work in previous Spider-Man cartoons, like Ephraim Zimbis Jr., who voices Doc Ock. He was actually the original voice for the character in the 90s cartoon. Jennifer Hale, who voices both Black Cat and Mary Jane, also voiced Black Cat in the 90s cartoon, and even voiced Mary Jane in the Spider-Man Unlimited cartoon. Even other actors like D. Bradley Baker, who voices Rhino, Carnage, etc., and Darren Norris, who provides the voices for Venom, Mysterio, Scorpion, and many others, both of these actors would later go on to be in more Spider-Man stuff, most notably Spectacular Spider-Man. Speaking of, well, Spider-Man, in this game the web slinger is voiced by Rhino Romano, who also got to voice Spidey in a previous cartoon along with a few other actors, that being Spider-Man Unlimited. The guy's probably more well known for voicing Batman in a few cartoons, but I'm going to be fully blunt here. I think Romano had one of the best Spider-Man voices ever. Seriously, he's in my top 5 Spider-Man portrayals. The voice that he's providing just fits the role so well, and I'm shocked to see that he's actually one of the most underused voices for Spider-Man, especially since every single line of dialogue delivered by Romano is perfect. Even when I was younger, I loved his voice. He just had that essence of Spider-Man down so well, especially for this version of Spidey. His performance sticks out to me because it's the signature way of how you're supposed to do a Spider-Man voice, kind of at the same level of how Kevin Conroy portrays Batman. Romano makes Spider-Man engagingly charismatic in every cutscene he's in, and also successfully delivers probably one of my most favorite monologues to ever be said by the webhead.
Listen, I realize what this means. Forget about helping me with Omnitech. I can handle Rhino.
Rhino by yourself? Thanks, Cat, but no thanks. Look, being Spider-Man has given me a lot and taken a lot away, but one thing never changes. My responsibility to use my powers for others before myself, no matter what the cost. There are innocent people at Omnitech, and they need our help right now. I won't let them down. Then I'll stop Venom. And this time, it's for the last time.
Wrapping up the story and cutscenes, this is actually pretty intriguing. I mentioned how the PC and Dreamcast versions got graphical upgrades over the PS1 version, which also meant that the FMVs had to get updated, but it kind of feels like it was rushed, I guess. Like, the actual cutscene animations are pretty decent and passable, but the lip syncing and even just the audio syncing is a little messy. Actually, most of the characters in this game don't have movable faces. The only one who's really moving their mouths are Venom and Carnage. Even then, most of the lip syncing is really off for Venom. It wasn't perfect in the PS1 version either, but I feel like it's slightly worse looking on the Dreamcast. Then there's the audio syncing issues. This is extremely noticeable in a few cutscenes. Even the tiniest things like sound effects you'll notice play way too early, or even a little too late in some scenarios. It's very minor things that can kind of get in the way of enjoying the cutscenes. However, the most infamous one I could think of is whenever Spider-Man and Venom jump into the sewers. In one of the greatest cutscene transition failures I've ever witnessed, not only is the audio completely out of sync here, but get a load of this. When it starts out, Spider-Man and Venom jump into the sewer as their Dreamcast models. Then, in the very next shot, PlayStation 1 models. What? How did they miss this? Oh my god, that's so bad. This happens in the Dreamcast version, and while the PC version did come out several months later in November 2001, it still has this cutscene fuck up. Desynced audio and all. Oh man. Yeah, the Dreamcast version is graphically superior, but I'd say the cutscenes definitely took a hit in a lot of places. I guess this port had to be rushed out at the last second. I mean, it got released in April 2001. The Dreamcast was becoming damn near irrelevant by that point. It even got discontinued a month earlier. So tragic. Let's move on to the gameplay already. Spider-Man 2000 served as Spidey's first ever entry into the world of 3D gaming. So how does it hold up? It's still passable, though it has aged. As Spider-Man, you could climb walls, jump really high, punch, kick, and even shoot webs at enemies. One of the best movesets is just webbing up an enemy, they'll go down immediately. The actual on-foot combat is pretty good, really standard, and the rest of the web power-ups are a bit of a mixed bag for me. This brings us to one of the main features to look for in a Spider-Man game, web slinging. Now, Spider-Man can web sling in this game, but it only appears that he just shoots 2 webs until he just tires out and falls to the ground. He can't web sling continuously. There are points where I'm just rapidly tapping the right trigger just so we could shoot 2 more webs to swing on. The game designers made it to where he purposely moves towards the nearest wall, or even closer to the ground because I guess they couldn't make Spidey web sling on more than 2 webs. It's a little disappointing, especially when you compare it to future Spider-Man games. The other 2 web power-ups are a web zip for shooting up to the ceiling, which works pretty well. There are also the pretty iconic web shooter moves. Aside from webbing up enemies, Spider-Man can also pull enemies towards him, shoot web balls, and even create an explosive web shield, it seems. These are the best web moves to use, but they are limited. At the top left corner of the screen, you'll see a blue bar under Spidey's health. This is the webbing container. It basically shows how much web you have left in a cartridge. You can only hold up to 10 web cartridges, which I personally find really dumb. Yes, I know in the original comics and even in a few of the cartoons, Spider-Man always had web shooters, but I never liked how his web powers ended up becoming so limited because of them. It just becomes slightly irritating when you're running low on web carts and Spider-Man becomes unable to use simple web attacks that apparently take up a lot of web power. I don't care what anyone says, unlimited webbing is the way to go. It's more fun that way. Despite that, the gameplay for Spider-Man is rather simplistic, very restrictive in a lot of areas, but for its time, this shit was insane. We never really saw anything like this in a Spider-Man game before. Yeah, the web slinging is painfully short, but at the same time, Spidey can web swing! Even something as simple as crawling on a wall was revolutionary shit, which is hilarious. This gameplay just paved the way for future Spider-Man games to build upon. While I think this gameplay style is okay nowadays, there is one element that takes some getting used to, which is the camera system. The camera is constantly behind Spider-Man, and it's always resetting itself just to be behind Spider-Man if he ever switches directions and stands still for a bit. There's no way to control the camera in this game, it's always automatic. As a result, it can get in the way of some points and can create some really odd positioning that can block your view for a bit. It's not terrible, but it can get annoying. Though there is kind of a way to control the camera. There's a gameplay mode called the Target Swing mode, which can be activated by holding the left trigger, which then gives you an over-the-shoulder view, along with a marker that you can move around on the screen to point at different level structures. If the marker is glowing green, then tap the right trigger and Spider-Man will web swing or web zip towards whatever you targeted on. This is actually an incredibly useful move in a few levels. In a few of the later levels, you could basically use this targeting system as a way of looking down on level segments that can actually help you avoid death in a few places. So yeah, while this gameplay definitely has not aged too greatly, it was still pretty groundbreaking for its time. It got the job done just right, and it could still be very easy to get adjusted to. Also, I probably should save this until the end of the review, but I personally still think that this game stands the test of time. The game has a very linear structure throughout all the levels. It's just classic Spidey gameplay from the moment it all begins. I still think the first level in this game is fantastic. It's so iconic with its numerous building structures to climb and swing onto, complete with the great Stan Lee narrating the opening, along with Black Cat helping Spider-Man with the tutorials. I don't know. I love the opening of this game so much. Even the dialogue between Spider-Man and Black Cat is just about perfect.
Hey, Spider!
Hey, Black Cat, what's going on?
I know there's been some trouble, but the bank's being robbed, and they've got hostages. Use your Spidey compass to get to the bank quickly.
Thanks, Cat.
Then you're off on this awesome comic booky adventure. You go stop a bank robbery, fight several recognizable villains, outrun police helicopters, travel through the sewers, move down an elevator shaft, so many awesome scenarios are just thrown in to make this game so memorable. I freaking love it. It very much might be nostalgia talking, but this game just makes me so happy at points. It's absolutely thrilling and still fun to play through. It is a rather short game. The main campaign just barely goes over 2 hours, which I guess should be expected. I never really thought I would be able to complete this game as a kid because, on the very rare occasions I got to play the PS1 version, I sucked. Even when I got the N64 version, I would just activate the invulnerability cheat just so I could play through the whole game without dying. I'd also cheat to unlock everything and get unlimited webbing. Hey, I didn't have a save pack, so there was no real way for me to save my progress anyways, so why not? I think some of the best levels in this game were the helicopter chases. I thought this was so awesome as a kid. You're running, jumping, swinging from rooftop to rooftop, trying to escape the police. Really great stuff. I also love this little Easter egg where you can basically find what's essentially the Green Goblin's hideout.
Gee, I wonder who those pumpkin bombs belong to.
There's also this one cool looking level where you're on top of a subway train, and you gotta fight several enemies and just wait until you've reached your location. It's a really fun set piece, though the lighting in here is pretty dark. That's actually one really odd detail in the Dreamcast version. The lighting is super dark most of the time. I might have to turn up the contrast on my footage just because of how unlit these levels look. And this is only on the Dreamcast version. The other versions don't make the levels look anywhere near this dark. The boss fights are also pretty cool. All the main bad guys get a decent boss fight with Spidey. Heck, we get 2 boss fights with Venom during his plotline. Most of these bosses consist of just running up and punching the crap out of them. You mainly do that with Venom and Scorpion's fights. Really simple stuff. By the way, I mentioned earlier that when my cousin Andrew had this game on PS1, we would just let his dad play the game for us, and the most I can remember about the Scorpion boss fight was the way Andrew's dad chose to defeat him was by doing this. Great technique. Scorpion won't see it coming. The other boss fights like Rhino, Mysterio, and Doc Ock are still about injuring them, but in different ways. For Rhino, you could usually defeat him by causing him to slam into these electric machines, or into one of these explosive barrels that are conveniently placed around this fight. You can even pick one up and throw it at him. You can also try to injure him by using your web attacks and even punching him, but that's not going to get you very far. Mysterio is certainly more difficult. You gotta shoot web balls at several buttons on the front of his body, but meanwhile he's firing so many lasers and performing numerous stomp attacks that can cause severe frustration and annoyance. I would easily say that Mysterio is the most difficult and the most irritating boss fight. Fuck Mysterio. Doc Ock's fight is more about disabling a force shield around him, then you could beat the crap out of him. It's kinda repetitive, just jumping and running left and right most of the time. The last 2 boss fights, well, one last boss fight is with Carnage, who you can't injure at all. You gotta grab Carnage and send him into this sonic generator until his health goes all the way down. You can spam your web attack on him just to keep him in the generator long enough because it shuts off every now and then. It's an okay fight. I mean, it's not great. Whatever, it was short. Technically, Carnage is the last boss fight that you actually, well, fight. The real final boss is with the brand new character made just for this game, Monster Ock. That is a pretty awesome name. Now, you don't fight this boss. What exactly do you do in this boss fight? Run! Run from him! Run for your goddamn life! Holy shit, he's gonna get you! Yeah, the last fight, or more the last level in this game, just involves Spider-Man running from this demonic Dr. Octagonopus. Otherwise, he's dead. My 2 most helpful pieces of advice for this encounter is, 1, obviously, run! And 2, web zipping and web swinging are your best friends for this level. Good luck! Okay, I guess now I should discuss the soundtrack for this game, which isn't too good. Now, wait a minute, just hold on a second. The game's musical score was created by a collaborative effort of Tommy Tallarico and Howard Olyate. Tommy Tallarico's sound company is actually pretty well known for providing the sound effects for hundreds of video games, most notably for the Heavy Iron SpongeBob games that I reviewed previously. And I just want to point out something really obnoxious that Tommy Tallarico did one time, and if you guys watch The Great Clement, you might know exactly what I'm about to talk about. But there was this one time he was a guest spot on some TV show on, I think, G4. I don't remember what the show was called. But he was reviewing one of the games on the show, which just so happened to be Sonic Heroes. And he hated Sonic Heroes. He thought it was a piece of shit. And he especially hated the soundtrack. And he thought the soundtrack was fucking terrible. Not just that, but he thought the soundtracks for all the 3D Sonic games were terrible. And he told Sega to stop making such bad music for the franchise. However, despite shitting on Sonic Heroes' soundtrack, he would eventually go on to be one of the main composers for Sonic and the Black Knight. Fucking hypocrite much, Tommy? Anyways, the sound direction for this game's music was an interesting one, I guess. The way Tommy and Howard chose to create the music for this game was by using a variation of music loops consisting of different genres, instruments, and other things. And when I say music loops, I'm talking every music track in this game consists of either a 10 or 20 second loop. As a result, this game probably has one of the most repetitive soundtracks I've ever heard. I'm not saying this as a bad thing, but it does make it really difficult for me to find a memorable track. There are a handful of songs that I do like. The Get to the Bank music is pretty iconic. I love the intensity of the helicopter chase songs, along with the music that plays during the subway level. The track that plays during Rhino's boss fight is solid. Actually, most of the boss fight music is pretty good stuff. Whenever the electric guitar and drums make an appearance, they do sound pretty great. It's just with this game's specific sound direction, not a whole lot of tracks really stick out as being memorable, or good for that matter. It is nostalgic for me, but I wouldn't say listening to this soundtrack on its own is a very good idea if you're working on a project or something important, like writing this review for example. The soundtrack is passable, but in comparison to the later games I'll be looking at, no bloody contest. Wrapping up this review with this game's extra content, well, there is a training mode for newbies to play. This has some speed training sessions to practice your web slinging, a survival mode where you could practice your combat skills against enemies. There's also a few mini collectathons thrown in which are pretty nice time wasters. I like how when you die or the training session ends, the game just freezes everything and rotates the camera around Spider-Man. It just looks like everything entered bullet time. Dope. The rest of the extras include costumes, comic book covers. You can also look at the newly drawn comic book covers made just for this game. There's even a gallery for rewatching the cutscenes, which is pretty neat. There's also this secret mode called the What If contest, which you can input in the cheats menu. When activated, you can play through the story mode again, and you'll notice a few odd changes that are made. This is a pretty fun mode that you'll get a laugh or two out of. The people at Neversoft were clearly having a blast making this game. In conclusion, Spider-Man 2000 is a pretty solid experience. I think any Spider-Man fan who's also into gaming must have any level of respect and or appreciation for what this game did for the web slinger. It's just one of those classic video games made at just the right time that'll be remembered for all it's brought to us. That sounded so gay. I'd probably consider this to be one of my favorite video games of all time if it wasn't for this sexy masterpiece. But I still hold a special place in my heart for all the memories this game has brought to me. It's obviously aged in a lot of areas, but I still say this is a solid Spider-Man game through and through. The story is fun to watch unfold, the voice acting is really great, the gameplay still holds up rather well, and I also love the way this game looks on the Dreamcast and PC. I probably would recommend getting those two versions if you could get your hands on them. I actually managed to, not so legally, download the ISO for the PC version of this game, and I did get it to run pretty well. I even recorded all the FMVs and most of the in-game cutscenes a few years back. Obviously this game lacks widescreen support, but I guess I'll leave that to modders who can inevitably get to modding this game's resolution settings, if that's even possible. So, Spider-Man 2000, good game. Pick it up whenever you can on PC, Dreamcast, and if you really want to be nostalgic, get the PS1 version. Mainly just get the versions with the FMVs and better sound quality. I'll give this game a solid 7 out of 10. Despite Spider-Man 2000 being a huge success, this ended up being the only Spider-Man game that Neversoft ever developed, and that's mainly because Activision decided to pass on the Spider-Man game making process to Treyarch, the same people who made this decent Dreamcast port, despite the FMV problems. So next time on Cooper's Perspective, we're going to be looking at the first ever Spider-Man game that Treyarch completely developed for themselves, which was Spider-Man, the movie game.
Wait a minute, Cooper.
What do you want, Tails doll?
Nothing. I just wanted to let you know that there was a sequel to Neversoft's Spider-Man 2000 game, Spider-Man 2: Enter Electro.
Okay, what about it?
I don't know. I just thought you'd want to review that game just for the hell of it.
Alright. Did Treyarch have anything to do with that game?
No, this game was on PS1, but they most likely would have ported it to Dreamcast.
Was it ported to Dreamcast?
Nope.
Then fucking what connection does this have to the Marathon? Did Neversoft develop it?
No, but it was developed by Vicarious Visions.
Vicarious Visions? Aren't those the guys who made the Game Boy Color version of the first game and more recently the Crash Bandicoot Insane trilogy?
Yeah, different developers, but this game is super important to bring up.
Oh really?
Yeah, well, it uses the exact same gameplay style. It has some more FMV cutscenes. Most of the menus and sound effects are the same. The music is probably more repetitive than the first game. It has almost the exact same extra content that was in the first game, you know, like the what if mode, and it's also got...
God damn it, Tellstar, quit wasting my fucking time!
Rhino Romano also voiced Spider-Man in this game too.
Okay, the next review is actually going to be Enter Electro, Spider-Man 2, on PS1. Hey everyone, I'm recording another end card, yay. Okay, so I'm recording this after the review is finished, like I did for the last review, which was SpongeBob's Truth or Square, the video game. So this was another 30-minute review. That wasn't too bad. I mean, the last 30-minute review took 12 days to come out, and this took 22. I want to apologize if the release dates for these reviews seem to, like, sporadic, I guess. I mean, Innocent Christoph Gavin and Jay's reviews are probably facepalming right now, saying, Cooper, why are you apologizing for delaying reviews? I don't know, I feel kind of bad, because I did edit this review in, like, a few days, and it just made me think, okay, why am I so bad at getting all the stuff I need for this review? Why can't I just record stuff quickly and comfortably and well? But, yeah, that's the first thing I wanted to say. Oh yeah, and I got my first ever patron, which I am listing his name on the right side of the screen, top right. It is Shadow the Typo, and he is giving $1 on Patreon. And on my Patreon page, I said, if you give me at least $1, then I'll put your name in the end credits for a review. So if I get more Patreon people, then their names are going to appear on the top right side of the screen at the end, for the end cards. It's very cramped looking, I'm really sorry, I'm still getting used to the whole end card thing. I should probably change the format from top to bottom to left and right or whatever. But yeah, thank you Shadow the Typo for giving $1. You are my first patron and I really appreciate it. If you guys want to support me on Patreon, the link to it is in the description along with all my social medias and whatever. So yeah, just give $1 and your name could appear at the end of the video. I mean, it's just one name for now, but if I do get, like, more than, I want to say, 10 people, then I might have to start doing the Patreon names, like, end credits scrolling, like the credits on the left are doing. But, yeah, first patron, it's pretty dope, pretty dank. Thank you for the support. It's awesome. I guess on the topic of Spider-Man, I saw Spider-Man Homecoming, and it was pretty good. Very solid Marvel movie. The Marvel movies I'm not that much into anymore, like I said in the beginning of the review, but whenever I do watch a Marvel movie, they're always, like, solid. Like, they're not terrible movies, they're well made, and they could be very entertaining, and Spider-Man Homecoming was a great example of that. I thought it was amusing and fun, a good watch. Tom Holland is excellent. I love Tom Holland in those movies. He's a great Spider-Man, but, you know, Tobey Maguire, he's always going to be in my heart, so... But Tom is great. I'm glad he's Spider-Man in the Marvel movies. Way better than Andrew Garfield. And I guess something else I want to bring up, because this is actually kind of cool, but some gay retard drew fan art for me, which I'm going to include in the video. He told me to call him gay retard, by the way. But this is a drawing of me and Paco on my finger, and it was done by AnimationEthan. I will credit him. He did a wonderful job drawing this. I didn't pay him, but I feel like I should, because I always feel bad when an artist doesn't get paid for making art. But thank you for this awesome photo, AnimationEthan. It is fantastic. He just drew it for me out of nowhere. I joined like a Discord call that he was in with a few people I knew, and then he just said, Cooper, I'm gonna draw you, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's dope. And a little thing I want to say is, while this dude is drawing me, I send him pictures of me for reference. He legit tells me right before he finishes, oh, Cooper, what color is your skin? Fucking seriously, dude? I thought that was pretty funny. Also, this is another piece of artwork that I'm pretty sure isn't like fan art for me, but it's really cool because it's kind of unique for me since the person who drew this directly sent this to me, and I think it was after he watched my Sonic Unleashed review. And it is this awesome drawing based off like the last cutscene for Sonic Unleashed where he picks up like Chip's little necklace, and inside the little green orb on the necklace is like Werehog Sonic meeting Chip for the first time. Did I say Werehog? I meant Wolfhog, I'm sorry. But it's a really awesome drawing. I thought it was really like pretty and made me reflect on how great Sonic Unleashed really was and how underappreciated it was, and I love that there are people out there who get inspired by such a great and very underrated game. I wonder if like the person who drew this awesome photo, like he drew it because he saw my review and I inspired him to draw it, or maybe he was just drawing this like at the time, then he just so happened to watch my review, then he finished it and decided to send it to me. I can't find it anywhere online except for Twitter, but the guy who drew this was a arty gamer. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna credit the artist, but I can't find his like DeviantArt or anything or YouTube, but this is a really dope drawing. So I guess go look him up and check out his art if you have not. But I guess on the topic of like Sonic reviews, I actually started posting on Reddit now. In fact, I'm gonna start posting my videos on Reddit for all my future reviews. And the first Sonic review I posted on there was my Unleashed review, and that didn't get much traffic or comments or anything. I think it got like 10 upvotes. I mean, the one comment that stayed on there was someone saying, "How long is this? Are you fucking retarded? YouTube has like timestamps, you dumbass." However, while my Unleashed review didn't get any attention, my Colors and Generations review attracted some very angry people, and they were people who left like really, I want to say like rude comments, or they were, I guess, unintentionally rude, because they were like saying I'm a huge asshole because I hate Sonic or whatever, which isn't true at all. But what pisses me off the most about those comments is they're accusing me of hating something, but they didn't even watch the reviews. Like, I'm not even joking, they didn't even bother watching the reviews to see if what they assume about the reviews is true. When it's not, they assume I hate Colors and Generations, which I don't, by the way. If you Redditors are watching this for whatever reason, I don't hate Colors and Generations, I just don't think they're as good as Sonic Unleashed. And I gave them clickbaity titles on purpose, because I knew you guys would fucking react to them, but now I'm starting to regret it, because you didn't even watch the fucking review. And I fucking swear to you guys, some of them actually left comments on Reddit saying that nobody would watch my reviews because they were over an hour long. And that was the most disheartening, most unmotivating thing I've ever heard. And it's from people who didn't even bother to sit down and watch the entire reviews. So, I guess I should say, my reviews are not for Reddit, but I'm still gonna post on there, because maybe, I don't know, I will get traction off there, and people will be like, hey, this guy makes decent reviews. Hey, his Sonic reviews are 1 hour long, but everything else is like 20 to 30 minutes. What the fuck? But yeah, to the people on Reddit who are shit-talking my reviews without even watching them, go fuck yourselves. And thank you for watching this and listening if you are from there. Fuck you. Okay, this end card's probably going on for way too long, but the last thing I want to say is I am hopefully going to get this uploaded on July 22nd, which is actually the 1-year anniversary of when they showed the first trailer for Sonic Mania, which is coming out pretty soon. I can't wait to play it. And also the first, like, sneak peek of Sonic Forces, but the less said about that, the better. One of my favorite YouTubers, Jaden Animations, tomorrow, July 23rd, is her 3-year anniversary of when she started uploading. So I just want to let people who are probably fans of Jaden's videos and are somehow fans of my videos too, great taste. But I just wanted to remind them that tomorrow on July 23rd at 12 o'clock Mountain Time, which is 1 o'clock Central Time for me, we're doing a toast, like a faraway toast to Jaden to celebrate her 3-year anniversary. I love Jaden's videos. I think she's really funny, witty, relatable, and really cool. I don't know why I'm mentioning this. She's like not gonna watch this ever. This end card's probably gonna make the video last like 40 minutes long. But yeah, I guess if you haven't checked out Jaden Animations, definitely do that. I'm gonna leave a link to her channel in the description. I think this is like the 3rd video I've posted on my channel where I've said, go check out Jaden Animation, she's really good. She also just passed 2 million subscribers, which is pretty dope. But yeah, tomorrow her and her followers are gonna like do a toast to her 12 o'clock p.m. Mountain Time. So be there or not, I don't know. Check out her videos. Watch one video by her, then do the toast tomorrow. That'd be awesome. Sorry for the long end. Jesus Christ, Paco. Paco fell. He's okay. Paco. Alright. Jesus Christ. Sorry for the long ass end card. Should probably limit these, but oh well. It's probably a 40-minute video by this point. Guess Reddit's not going to be happy that this video is over 20 minutes long. But if you did watch this and like the review, thank you for watching, and have a good night.